Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to hang with me a little bit on today's video. I'm always grateful for that. Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about big fish, what it takes to catch big fish and what you need to do as far as type of lures and the type of areas that big fish live in. I don't think there's anything that is more fun in bass fishing than catching a big one. And in order to catch big ones, guys, consistently, you have got to fish for big fish. It's like if you don't fish for big fish, if you catch one, it's just going to be a random coincidence. It's just going to be luck. So I'm going to give you guys some tips and advice on what you can do if you wanted to specifically target larger fish in today's video. Also, guys, just a couple quick housekeeping tips. I know you guys get burned out on it, but I mean, it's the reason the videos are getting put out there. I just want to invite everybody to please check out the summer kickoff sale that Tackle Warehouse has. Got a bunch of good sales on stuff now. If you guys are interested, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description, and by using and bookmarking that link, guys, to purchase your tackle, you're really helping the channel out and my family, and I really appreciate that. So thank you very much. Okay guys, I love catching big ones, man. I had a run back in the early to mid 90s where I won the big bass of the tournament 7 different times in Bassmaster Top 150s. And so I've got a little bit of experience in consistently catching big ones. So we're going to talk about that in today's edition. Now, first thing I want to tell you is, like, if you want to catch big ones, you don't have to fish these big honking giant baits. Like, you know, you see the guys fishing those giant glide baits and big glide baits and big swim baits and those baits that are designed to catch huge fish, because more than not, when you fish those things, you're not going to catch many fish, and a lot of times you can fish them forever and not catch anything. So the baits that I want to talk about the realistic baits that catch big ones that are a lot more consistent. Now, in my opinion, when you're wanting to target big fish, a lot of it depends obviously on the part of the country that you're in, as far as the type of cover you have. For example, if you fish in Florida, you know, your big fish down there are usually going to come like on you know, flipping and pitching mats, something like that. If you're in Texas, it could be a lipless crankbait over the grass. If you're fishing up on the Great Lakes, it can be a tube for big smallmouth. So there's a lot of different things, but overall, I can tell you guys there's 3 or 4 baits that consistently have produced big ones for me. Now, in my opinion, the #1 big bass bait that you can consistently catch big fish on is a big spinner bait. A big 3/4 ounce to 1 ounce spinner bait. Guys, I probably caught more 7-pound bass on a big spinner bait than any other lure out there. Something with like a #6 or #7 or #8 willow leaf blade, or a #7 or #8 Colorado, a big profile bait with a full skirt with a trailer. That's a great way to catch big ones, especially in the pre-spawn. Another really good bait to catch big ones on is a full-size jig. Full-size 1/2 ounce, 5/8 ounce jig with a big trailer like a Zoom Big Salty chunk on it, fishing it around whatever cover you have. A jig is a really good, consistent big fish producer. Caught a lot of fish on those as well. Another really good bait for big ones, guys, is a chatterbait, especially if you fish a chatterbait slow. If you slow roll a chatterbait, especially like in the pre-spawn on deeper grass, or, you know, rocky banks or around wood, that's a really good way to catch big ones. And the 4th one that you catch a lot of big fish on is a jerkbait, specifically during the pre-spawn, again, sometimes during the winter time. But a jerkbait is definitely going to catch you some big ones. Now in the summertime, a little bit different. The big worms, like the big, you know, 10 and 12 inch Texas rig worms, catch a lot of good fish. You obviously can't discount an Alabama rig in the wintertime in the pre-spawn. That catches big ones, but that's sort of the bait category. Now, in correlation with that, it's like you got to fish where the big ones live. It's like you can have the best big fish bait in the world, but if you don't fish where the big ones live, you're not going to catch many. Now, here's what you need to look for to catch big ones in general terms. It's like big fish want to be around 2 different things. They want to be around some type of cover or some type of access to deep water. Now, the exception would be for the live scoping fish, all these fish that are roaming around out in the middle of the lake that have been protected for decades. There are big ones out there in those type of areas, you know, depending on the lake you're fishing especially. But for traditional bass fishing techniques, and for traditional bass fishing like we do here on this channel, you got to have those 2 elements of some type of proximity to deeper water and some type of heavy cover. That's why most of the big fish that I have ever caught in my life have come on some type of a channel bank or some type of a point near deep water. some type of heavy cover like a thick grass bed, or flooded cover like flooded bushes and trees, boat docks that are close to deep water, anything that has some type of combination of that. Now, the cover doesn't have to be super thick. I mean, it helps a lot of times, but as long as it's enough cover to sustain a lot of shade on it, and especially if the cover has some complexity to it. And what I mean by complexity, I'm talking about like a laydown tree that has a lot of limbs on it, or maybe a boat dock that has a lot of brush or, you know, pilings around it, something that's got a lot to offer the fish to hide around. And the closer that complex piece of cover is to deep water, is a big plus. Now, I don't necessarily mean you have to have like deep water like right behind your back. I mean, when I'm talking about proximity to deep water, I'm talking about having deep water within like maybe 50 to 100 yards away from that piece of cover, because it didn't take hardly anything for a bass to move 50 or 100 yards, but they like to have that proximity, because I think a lot of times some of those fish will get out there and suspend over those deep water, and, you know, just to sort of sulk around, and then they move up shallow around that shallow cover to feed, especially at night. But the combination of getting the right type of areas with the right type of bait is a big deal. Now, the other thing is the time of year. By far, you're going to catch your biggest fish and the most biggest fish during the pre-spawn. When that water temperature is in the 50s in the springtime of the year, #1 time of the year to catch big ones. So, you know, when you're expecting to catch a big one, it's that time of year. If you catch some big fish other than during the pre-spawn, it's usually an exception to the rule. A lot of times you can catch some big ones during the post-spawn, like in June when they move out deep. But July, August, September, all the way through the winter, it's you know, they're sort of a lot more random with that. So you got to fish at the right, you know, type of an area. And finally, you've got to fish the lakes where big ones live. Some lakes just don't have many big fish in it, where lakes like California, guys that have fish in California and Texas and Florida, I mean, they're around a lot of big ones for sure. So that's another thing. Don't expect to catch a lot of big fish like if you fish the Ohio River or something like that in Ohio. It's relative to that. So anyway, guys, that's just a quick foundation, some things that's helped me catch big ones over the years, and hope it helps you guys as well. We'll talk later.